It is 11 o'clock. Welcome back to Three-Man Front. Hour number one, we kind of recapped last night, New Heights podcast with Taylor Swift and the Kelsey brothers. Also, the University of Michigan is expecting to hear from the NCAA officially tomorrow what their penalty is going to be on the Connor Stallions case. We heard from you, the listener, 1-800-239-WJOX. We'll go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama momentarily and talk to Rodney Orr, get his thoughts on scrimmage number one last weekend, scrimmage number two coming up on Saturday. Artec Tractor in Jasper is having a sale on all their fluids and filters from now until the end of September. That is on all oil filters and air filters, also all engine oil and hydraulic oil. That is 15% off all of those items. Locally owned specialists in mowers and tractors. Call Jeremy. Go see Greg and the guys there. They're going to take care of you at Artec Tractor, just north of Jasper on Highway 5. They've got tractor brands like Mahindra, Bobcat, everything for large home acreage, small homesteads to large farms, hunting plots. Mower brands like Toro, Cub Cadet, Gravely, Bobcat, Spartan. Residential to commercial grade, more brands and better selection than those big box stores. I'm excited because this weekend, in between the rain, I'm going to get on my zero turn from Artec Tractor, and I'm going to take care of the business in the backyard because it's getting high because of all this rain. I need a nice low cut as I head into the football season.
If we're going to put that golf course in.
Yes. Landrum's designing a couple of holes in my backyard. Yep. He's already kind of mapped it out. So elevated green up on the plateau. That's going to be beautiful. But thanks to Artec Tractor, I can make that happen. Large selection of used heavy equipment, all of that. Go by and see them just north of Jasper. Highway 5, Artec Tractor.
The course is going to be called the Moat at Pat Smith Farms.
I love that. Love that. Can we get that trademarked before Lamar Jackson trademarks it?
Yes. Okay. We'll get that done by the end of the day. Rodney Orr of Tider Insider joining us, his weekly visit here on Three-Man Front and the Higginbotham Hotline. Happy Thursday, Rodney. How are you? I'm guessing that you were tuned in like 1 point something million other people watching the Taylor Swift podcast last night.
I'm sorry, I had no idea.
That was
a perfect answer.
That was the perfect answer. That's what we were looking for.
I had no idea. I really did not.
That's okay. That is not a problem at all. All right, let's go back before we kind of talk about what you expect this weekend. Just some of the highlights, in your opinion, from last Saturday's scrimmage inside Bryant-Denny Stadium based on your intel.
Yeah, I think the one thing a couple things that really stood out was just from the people I talked to. And, some of them obviously played in the NFL, so they've got a really keen eye. And the things that they pointed out was just the command from Ty Simpson, that was certainly something that built a lot of confidence, just the way he handled himself. He made some plays. Didn't turn the ball over. There were no turnovers in the scrimmage. That was really key. But just the command and the maturity that he showed certainly built some confidence. But also the offensive line, I think that based on the things we heard, that they really feel like the feeling is that this offensive line can be really good, take a big step this year, and that they initially in the scrimmage, they pretty much controlled the defensive line. But, with that said, the defensive line did tighten up against the run and started to develop a little bit of a pass rush. So it was, as DeBoer said, a little bit of give and take up front.
Speaking of give and take, we've heard a lot of reports about the lack of turnovers, which is impressive throughout fall camp. Is that a concern? If I'm playing devil's advocate, is that a concern for Kane Womack and the defense?
Yeah, I had to kind of laugh about that because that's something that's one of their goals, right? Is to create turnovers defensively. That's one of their core goals that they want to accomplish and achieve, and that they didn't turn the ball over in that scrimmage in terms of the defense. So it works both ways. But it is good to see. Of course, when you see your quarterbacks, especially the youthful guys, they're all inexperienced, even Ty, and to be able to protect the ball the way they did, I think that kind of overrides the other, in my opinion.
The backup quarterback at any college is the most popular quarterback, especially if quarterback number one struggles a little bit. So my question is, as of this moment, who do you believe will be quarterback number two behind Ty Simpson?
Well, what I would think is this, and again, just my opinion would be that, if they got into a game and someone else had to play, let's say early part of the season, I would say that Austin Mack would get first crack. That's what I would say. Now, how long that leash would be, how many series, I guess it would just all depend. But I think they would probably go Mac first, and then if need be, maybe Keelan Russell gets in the game. But again, so if you want to put it that way, I would say right now I think Mac will be probably stay in the pecking order at number 2, but I don't think that's like something that's extremely solid.
We know the wide receiving group, that room is uber talented, but there are guys that are relatively new or have not gotten a lot of playing time. Who are some of those emerging guys out of that wide receiver room, Rodney, that you're hearing about that could play a big factor in 2025?
Well, of course, I know most Alabama fans by now know about Isaiah Horton, clearly. I mean, he had a big year at Miami last year, the transfer. I think he's going to make a huge difference. I really do. I think his addition, he's physical, he's big, he's 6'4", he's 210, and he just makes big plays. I mean, he made big plays in the spring every scrimmage. He made a big play in this last scrimmage where he had a 50-yard touchdown reception. He just seems to be a playmaker and that big physical presence too. But also Rico Scott, he's really continues to take steps. And again, he's 6 feet, 200 pounds, plays really physical himself and fast, really fast. One of the fastest guys on the team actually. So I think Rico Scott's another guy. Cole Adams had some really bright moments in this last scrimmage. Had a couple of big plays, impressive catches. And again, we saw him last year, and he was sidelined the end of the year with the injuries that he had, but he's done really well in camp so far. And he's not really a new guy, but he's a guy that I think certainly has positioned himself to make more of a contribution. And we'll see with Latsier Brooks. I think if Latsier Brooks, he obviously he's been a little bit sidelined with a minor injury, hadn't been able to do much the previous week before the scrimmage. But I think he's dynamic. I think he's got a chance to, at some point, make a contribution. But those are some of the guys that I would say, other than Bernard and Ryan Williams, to really keep an eye on.
Rodney Orr joins us from Tighter Insiders. We're talking about scrimmage number 1 and scrimmage number 2 coming up on Saturday for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So, Rodney, let me ask you about the interior defensive line. That's a group that for many months you have talked about how Alabama needs to go out, be aggressive in recruiting. That might have been one area of concern that you shared with us over the past couple of months. How are they performing so far in fall camp? And I was told, and you could tell me I was wrong with this assessment, that at least in the first part of the scrimmage, the offensive line held their own really well against the defensive front. And it took a little while for that group to get kind of going there in the second half of the scrimmage to get that penetration and that depth in the backfield that Kane Womack and the rest of those coaches want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's pretty much kind of the story, that the offensive line early on was having their way, pushing them around a little bit, but the defensive line rebounded pretty well and came back and did a nice job of tightening up on the run. Again, I think they generated a pass rush, started to begin to generate a pass rush. I think there was 4 sacks, at least 4 sacks that we heard of in the scrimmage. So they got better as the scrimmage went along. But, again, I think when you look at that group, now let's keep in mind too, that James Smith, and I think he's the guy that could be a real difference maker this year up front. He did not participate, so he was out. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. But I think building some of the depth behind those first 3, behind James Smith and Keenan and L.T. Overton, I think with guys like Jordan Renaud and Keon Keeley and Edric Hill and Jeremiah Beeman. Now, again, Keeley and Renaud on the outside, but on that interior, some of those guys like Edric Hill and Jeremiah Beeman really have to step up. I think, Kelby Collins is another guy that he may play more of a bandit defensive end. It looks like he's actually lost some weight since the spring. But as a group, I think that those guys behind the first 3, they're going to be really key because you have to have that rotation up front. And a lot of those guys have potential. They've gotten bigger. They've gotten stronger. They just don't have a lot of experience.
Rodney, we talked about 2 phases of the game. We have not talked about the third. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being we are absolutely freaked out, special teams, how much of a concern is there for Kalen DeBoer and that staff?
Well, I mean, that's a good question because we were hearing some positive things about that. And then I think after the scrimmage, there's people that have expressed a little bit of concern about, both kicking, punting, and place kicking. I guess we'll just have to see. But Connor Talty was a guy that had a pretty good spring. I think they were pleased with the way he did the place kicking spring. Showed a strong leg, was pretty accurate with his kicks in the spring. And then I think that they were really pleased too with the Blake Dowd, the Colorado School of Mines transfer with the punting. I think that they thought he had a really good spring. And Alex Asperoff, one of the top punters in the nation last year as a high school player, of course he's coming off a knee injury. He's in the mix as well, but there seems to be a little bit of concern right now, and there's not been a lot of discussion about it. I actually haven't heard a lot in terms of, either way, but other than there is some concern right now about how those guys will pan out.
Rodney Orr joins us from Tider Insiders. We get ready for scrimmage number 2 for Alabama. For you, Rodney, what is the one area, or it could be a couple of areas, that you are honed in on the most in regards to the input and I guess the information that you're going to get from a group that you want to see some improvement in on the weekend?
Yeah, I always want to hear about the line of scrimmage. I mean, the offensive line as they continue to develop. And I think, Jaden Roberts was out at right guard this last scrimmage. And I know there was an injury that was holding him out, and to see if he's back, for this scrimmage. But just kind of how that, the offensive line continues to develop there. I know they were also really pleased with some of the depth spots there on the offensive line in terms of, Gino Vandermark had to step in, which we knew he could, but Olasa Lennon continues to make progress. He can play those multiple positions, tackle and guard. And I know they're really excited about those 2 young freshmen. We've talked about them before, left tackle Jackson Lloyd, right tackle Michael Carroll, guys that, young freshmen that are showing a ton of potential. So it looks like they could have some pretty decent numbers in terms of those guys developing in behind the first group. So I think that's really important, and continuing to see how this defensive line, progresses. I think that's really important. But also, I'll say this, Pat and Landrum, last year one of the issues we saw, I think, over the course of the season was the inconsistent play from week to week. You beat Georgia, you lose to Vanderbilt. You go out and you really look great against LSU, and you lay an egg against Oklahoma, those types of things. You just the inconsistent play. And I think even you had a really good scrimmage. I mean, there's a lot of people, that I've talked to that was at the scrimmage, and they said, really surprised about how well this scrimmage went. They protected the ball. They didn't make mistakes. Ty was in command, all of these things. So how do you bounce back in the scrimmage too? I mean, do you take that next step? The consistency, and I think all of that I think that can be an important part to develop that consistency throughout the season, which is what they're going to have.
Well, you can follow Tider Insider. Rodney will have an update. He'll have a report as soon as possible after the scrimmage concludes. He's got better sources than anybody when it comes to what's going on there inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Rodney, always appreciate your time. Look forward to watching and reading your reports over the weekend, and we will catch up with you next week. And it's actually a game week in college football, so it should be exciting.
Can't wait. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very much, Rodney. Take care. That's Rodney Orr joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. All of our guests join us on that hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Well, you can join us at Mandu in downtown Homewood just in time for football season. You want to be looking your best, whether it's there in your man cave watching games at high school on Friday nights, maybe seeing an old high school flame, Larry from Homewood, or you're there enjoying tailgates on college football Saturdays. Mandu's going to have you looking great, feeling great, and the best part about Mandu, they know you're busy. It's a 15-minute workout because of the technology and the electrical muscle stimulation fitness. 15-minute workout, equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. Nobody has 6 hours. Well, I guess you do if you're a trainer or you maybe own the gym. But Mandu in downtown Homewood, your first visit is free. They'll put you through that workout, MANDUU.com to learn more. Always tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour, David Cutcliffe, former Ole Miss head basketball. Listen to me.
I bet he could coach it.
Yeah. Well, he played at, he was at, where was he, Banks High School?
Yeah. Huh?
Here in Birmingham?
I believe so.
Is that right?
Yeah, I know the Rutledge brothers. My dad played at Banks. Uncle played at Banks.
Yeah. He was a Jet.
Was it Shorty White? Was the head coach there one time?
Sounds right. I think that's right, isn't it? That David played at Banks?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Should we just ask him on the air and make it awkward?
Yeah.
I'll
we can do that. And then he went to Alabama. He got injured.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to play football for the Tide. Got injured, did not play. Started an incredible career coaching, including being Peyton Manning's quarterback coach at Tennessee, head coach at Ole Miss, head coach at Duke.
He attended Banks
High School. Yep. There you go. Here in Birmingham. All right. He's coming up at the bottom of the hour. He did not coach basketball in college, just football. Now, that'd have been something if he had been on there with Coach K.
What do you think he could have done with Peyton Manning? Peyton, would he have been a 3-guard?
Yeah, I don't see him bringing the ball up.
Think about what he could have done with Daniel Jones. Basketball.
That's an athlete right there.
I'm talking a lottery pick.
Yeah, no doubt. More three-man front on Jocks. This is three-man front on a Thursday. Always great information from Rodney Orr from Tider Insider. Go to TiderInsider.com. Get your membership. Great inside information. He was one of the first people that had information up on the message boards. I know Conrad posts on there all the time. What's your screen name?
I can't tell people that.
Oh. Thought it was like
Nick Saban's driver.
2 is God. Exclamation point _. Hashtag.
It might be closer to that than you think.
I think it's Take Me to a Championship.
Oh.
You're not supposed to tell people that, Molly.
Oh, sorry. Well, one thing I can tell you about is the Bill Smith Buick GMC Jocks Kickoff Party. It's at Regents Field on Thursday, August 21st, and the only way to go is by winning tickets. So to enter to
Give
win
us a good word today.
So today's word, you guys ready? Season.
Okay, that's better than go.
Yes.
That was boring.
Is it like season?
No,
Season.
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 Not how Johnny
Correct.
Manziel spelled it.
Like I'm seizing the day? Like Carpe Diem?
Not that kind of not like a seize the day, like a college football season.
Oh, season.
Seize the season.
Seize the season.
Well, it's a season like spring, summer, fall season.
Season.
One of
Yes.
those that we do not have in the state of Alabama.
Correct.
I
Well, text
It's just summer and
season
winter.
my food.
Yeah. Well, text that word to 205-834-9450. Once again, season. Season.
Not go. That was yesterday.
Not go.
How you say season?
It's season. To 205-834-9450.
Oh, Saison.
That's a beer.
Oh.
Well, I know why Landrum did not watch the New Heights podcast last night. He was watching the Braves take out the Mets 11-6. 11 unanswered runs for Atlanta, including a 9-run fourth inning, highlighted by Michael Harris II, grand slam, and a 3-run double by Jurickson Profar. Would you like to take a guess, just off the top of your head, what Michael Harris is batting since the All-Star break?
That's a lot. Is it close to 400?
366. You want to talk about a guy turning things around.
Well, it's...
Hey, better late than never.
What is his current average? Because it was 241 earlier this week.
I do not have that number in front
So
of me.
that just tells you how bad he was in the first half.
Yeah. He was dead last in almost every offensive category of those players that had at least 3.1 at-bats per game.
Well, Braves have won 5 of 7.
Yes, they have. You got 7 scoreless innings from the bullpen. So a big win again. The Mets, they're not as struggling as, well, yeah, they're struggling more than the Yankees, but it's been a rough patch there in the Gotham City when it comes to baseball. Bryce Elder's on the bump tonight. He's 4-9 with a 6.12 ERA. He goes for Atlanta. But the biggest story in Major League Baseball right now is the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have won 12 games in a row. They are now running away with the National League Central. It was basically the Cubs for most of the season. And at one time, the Cardinals were only a couple of games behind the Cubs, but the Cardinals have gone south. The Cubs have played less than stellar baseball, and the Brewers have been the hottest team in Major League Baseball. So I had to go back. I'm kicking myself a little bit. So if I go back to August the 1st, and if I took out a Benjamin Franklin from my wallet, and I placed a money line wager on the Milwaukee Brewers to beat the Washington Nationals on that faithful August 1st day, I would have won that on the money line because that was the first of their 12 games that they've now won in a row. If I would have taken that $100 that I won on the money line on August the 1st, and I had applied that to every game since then, including yesterday's win in Milwaukee, I would be at $50,848.76.
See, this gambling thing's easy.
So over a 12-game span, I would have made $50,848.76. I kick myself every day that I did not bet on the Milwaukee Brewers. I haven't bet against them, but I haven't played them.
I don't know, Pat. Your personality, you having that success, I feel like Conrad, he would maybe parlay that. And then while we joke about it, then it becomes an actual issue for Pat.
Yes. Well, and I mean, at that point, I mean, if you hit a streak like that, how do you get out of it? Because you're going to keep telling yourself every day, well, I mean, this has worked for so long. How can I possibly back out now? And then
I've been chosen.
That's why there's the phone number.
I'm the one guy that actually had success doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I've read stories in the past where Pittsburgh Pirate fans, they will like bet against the Bucks on the money line. And at the end of the season, they'll have a really nice profit because the franchise is historically bad.
I've never had.
Oh, you're talking about the Pirates, not the Tampa Bay Bucks.
No, I said, the Pirates, but we call them the Buccos.
Yeah. I've never had a problem placing a bet if you're hedging it, whatever, against my team. I'm not going to do it just to do it, but.
No, but you know that team pretty well, and if they're bad.
And I do view it with the Braves. If I bet on whoever they're playing that night and the Braves win, I'm good with it.
So you don't mind fading the Braves?
No.
Or you'll take, let's say you bet $1.
Yeah, and that's what it is, usually $1 or $2. So maybe it affects me different if it's 100.
So you bet against the Braves, like you'll bet, like if last night you would have bet on the Mets.
And I would have.
And then the Braves win, and you're like going, hey, I just spent $1 for the Braves to win. Yeah. It's like, no big deal.
No big deal.
Okay. I see what you're doing there. I can't read that.
I could read it and don't say it.
I still can't see it.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't say it.
I just
it was a little joke. You'll get it.
Well, the glare. I couldn't.
Yeah. I got you. I thought my handwriting was quite poor.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. Mm-hmm. Now you're right.
Yeah. I didn't want to read that.
No, and I didn't want to say it out loud either. But we've been talking about inside jokes because that was the John Mateer thing early. And so, everyone has inside jokes, right? Mm-hmm. Love to be a part of one day.
But man, 12 games, taking that $100 and just roll it over, $50,000.
If I still had my time machine, we'd jump in it.
You could do that and go back and invest in Amazon.
I'm kicking myself for selling that thing. For scrap.
Oh, selling the time machine?
For scrap. Hard times, man.
They were paying a mighty nice price for that catalytic converter. I just had to let it go.
For the Brewers to be doing this, though, at this point in the season, and thought the Tigers for a long time were going to have the best record in baseball. Maybe they still do, but to have the best record in baseball, and I'm judging them against the Tigers and have 6 more wins, that is incredible.
Yeah.
You don't need Craig Counsell.
It's been a weird baseball season. I mean, the Dodgers are good, don't get me wrong, but Dodgers haven't been the world beaters everyone thought they would be. The Brewers and the Tigers are the 2 best teams in baseball.
Mets are still the Mets.
Mets are still the Mets. Braves are struggling. Yankees are struggling. Cardinals are struggling. It's been a weird year. The Blue Jays are really good. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of random.
Twins were selling. Now they're not.
Yeah, now they're not.
Now they're wondering where half their roster went.
They're like, psych.
Why did we do that?
Y'all. We shouldn't have got rid of all those guys. Coming up next on Three Man Front, the former head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels, the Duke Blue Devils, now a consultant for the Southeastern Conference. He is going to be one of the award winners of the Nick Saban Legacy Award. David Cutcliffe is going to join us next on Three Man Front.
11:31, it's Three Man Front here on this Thursday. Hope everyone is doing well. We got Coach David Cutcliffe coming up in just a moment to tell you about the Nick Saban Legacy Award, the event coming up next Monday, August the 18th, 6 o'clock. They're at Red Mountain theater, and you can get tickets. You got VIP options, gold and silver. For more, you can go to the Monday Morning Quarterback Club website at mmqbc.org. And the Nick Saban Legacy Award, Pat, it just honors folks that gave so much, not only to the sport of college football, what they did for young people. And our next guest, he certainly epitomizes all of that.
There's no doubt about it. We're talking about Birmingham native, the third winningest coach in Duke football history. Of course, he had a great run in Oxford, Mississippi at Ole Miss, longtime offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Volunteers. And we're talking about Coach David Cutcliffe, Birmingham's own, comes back home coming up this weekend to the Nick Saban Awards. Coach, welcome back, and thanks for joining us here on Three Man Front.
Well, I am always excited to talk to you folks in Alabama where football's first. It's an interesting thing to grow up in that state, and everybody's a little anxious right now. We're that close to kickoff, huh?
No, that we absolutely are, Coach. And I'm just curious, if you think back to your days at Banks High School and where the game is today, is it just mind-boggling to think how far we've come in a short time, really, in regards to the timeline of football?
Yeah, it's interesting because of my football life. I think sometimes, and this may be crazy, but I think about equipment. I think about what we wore that were hip pads. That's not even a thing anymore.
Right.
Of course, knee pads aren't really. How did we move? And then the helmets we had, suspension helmets. Coaches had metal whistles, and when they were upset with you, they would hit you in the helmet, swing the whistle, and that metal whistle would hit that helmet, and it would be ringing in your ears. And I'm thinking, okay. And then I've actually practiced football with a wooden paddle on the field and lifted weights with a wooden paddle in the weight room if you weren't working like you should work. So tell me we hadn't come a long, long, long way in a short period of time. If there had been a portal, there would have been nobody where they were. They would have all gotten in the portal the way things were treated, right?
Yeah.
That's right, Coach. Coach, when you think back to this time of year, getting your respective, whether it was Ole Miss, whether it was Duke teams ready for the start of the college football season, you mentioned the anxiety of fans that, and we certainly get anxious, we get excited, but do you know a lot about your football team at this point, or are there still a lot of questions that coaches want to see answered?
I think that more and more guys have questions. I visit, all 16 of the SEC teams because it has become such a year-to-year challenge. And if you just take I always start my football season in January looking at a team. And one of the things Coach Bryant, I always thought he was right, and he used to say all the time, we're only as good, folks, as our second team at the end of spring practice. And he's not wrong, because you start looking at pivotal roles people play through injury or whatever. And now you go, all the way up into June, trying to form, I don't even like the word roster because that sounds like NFL, but trying to put your team together. And now you look at it, and you've got a limited amount of time in August. We have less time than ever, and just the number of practices. So it's not as cut and dry as people might think. And then I go around, and rightfully so, you don't ever see a quarterback get hit anymore in practice. Can't risk it. So how are they going to play when the bullets fly? But the difference in quarterbacks often, and particularly in the passing game, is in the pocket, is the focus, the ability to keep your eyes downfield. And anybody that wonders about that, I think we need to put microphones in the pockets to let people hear a pocket. If you've never heard it, you have no idea how wild it sounds in there. So, yeah, I really miss. I sneak out there every now and then in team periods and get back behind there myself. But that's when I can start telling where a quarterback's head is. And I don't think you find that out this day and time the same way. They don't come close to them, if you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Coach David Cutcliffe joins us here on Three Man Front. Coach, you were talking about the quarterbacks, and you have such an interesting perspective. You were Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator at Tennessee. You were his brother Eli's head coach at Ole Miss. So I'm just curious, a thought or two on another Manning, Arch Manning, at the University of Texas this year, taking the reins as Quinn Ewers has moved on to the NFL.
Yeah, well, Arch and I are close, and I've had good chances to work with him when he was younger and in his past, and his dad Cooper and I are close. And one of the things I tell people about Arch, I mean, he's dealing with more with social media, and when you pick up your cell phone and all you see is your cell phone at every day, those are a challenge. But he's like all the Mannings, and it starts with Archie and Olivia, and then Cooper and Ellen. He has a great group of people. His support cast is phenomenal. And Arch is very grounded and very capable because of the people in his life. I saw him at media days. He came over and hugged my neck and said, "The big two." And I said, "That's right. That's all you got to remember." And that's one thing I've always taught. And the big two is this. It's first, your focus going into college football is to become the best teammate on the team. Nothing else. Number one focus, best teammate on the team. How do you do that? You care more about others than you do yourself. You focus on their progress, on their successes. And what it does is it keeps you from going up and down when you first come in to that level. There are going to be ups and downs. Well, he was, I loved it that he's smiling and saying that. And then the second one, I always have told everybody I've coached, not just quarterbacks, when we're little, in this game that we love and we start playing it, and I can remember myself back to 4 years old, we never said we're going to go outside and work football. What do we say? Let's go play football. You're still playing football, man. You're getting to do what you love. Don't ever forget that. I would remind all my guys and guys that are still in the NFL the same thing. Go play football, brother, and you just don't internalize as much negative when you do that. So I think he's going to handle it. I know he's very talented, but you know what? It doesn't just always work out to script. So let's just go like you always do. It's one game at a time, and then you make practice like a game. You got to have a successful Monday to have a successful Saturday, right through the week. And, I think he's prepared to take that mentality.
Coach, when I think and I hear quarterback whisper, I think about you and the great quarterbacks and the guys that you helped to develop and the careers that they ended up having. But outside of having talented guys to coach, if someone said, "Coach, what was your secret? What was the secret to your success and how you were able to take the tools that you have and make them great?" What would you tell them?
My personal strength is trust in relationships. I've never lied to a youngster, and they know it. And I don't think there's any relationship on earth that is as good as it can be without trust. I've always taught our coaches that. Be truthful. Don't ever burn a bridge that you can't repair. And, once you do that relationship, you can be as tough on them as you can possibly be because they truly know you love them. When you're consistently telling people the truth, they know when you say, "Hey, man, I love you," they know you mean it. And you're there under any circumstance for them. So that's been my entire philosophy. And then the other one, just from being successful with quarterbacks, and I see, and I tell this to young coaches, and I'll still do some coaching clinics just because I want to, because that's passing things forward, is that I don't care what you know as a coach, and that's at any position, but particularly a quarterback. Don't be trying to impress me with PowerPoints. Your whole job is to teach that player absolutely everything you know, and then listen to him. He's the functional part. He will actually know more than you. And when you reach that, when they can go to the line of scrimmage and call a run game and call a pass game better than you, the word everybody's heard, Omaha, that guy loved managing the game at the line of scrimmage. I'd have to tell him as a veteran, I'd say, quit coaching and go to playing, man. Your mechanics aren't good. I'd call him after a game. I said, stop. You can't be a coach and a player at the same time. But, that's still the strength is and the thing, and I tell Archie this because he and I still talk football. Teaching young people why is more important than ever because this generation is darn sure going to ask you why. But I've always taught why. I don't ever get on to them about what they did or how they did it. I want them to know why you have to do it this way to be successful. And I've seen defensive coordinators that I knew. Bill Oliver was one of the best at that without a shadow of a doubt. Every player on his defenses knew why they were doing this, or why they made a check. And that's a great strength. So y'all got me coaching all over.
No, we love it.
Got me fired
I could
up,
listen to this for 5 more hours.
Our listeners are eating it up, Coach. I did want to ask you, in your new role as a special advisor to the Southeastern Conference, how much fun are you having with that, being able to go around to the different schools and just be an active member of this conference?
Well, I love the SEC. I grew up in it. I could turn a pasture into any SEC stadium when I was growing up. I would hear the fans. I'm serious now. I'm not playing games by myself. So it's home for me in more ways than people would ever know or imagine. I really love the relationships that you can build. And I don't go in and walk right into a head coach's office. First place I go when I visit a football program is the equipment room. People say, well, why do you do that? Well, the focus always has to be the players. And I'm not talking about paying the players. I'm talking about growing the players. And you know who knows more about what's happening with players than anybody in any of the buildings? The equipment room is right by the locker room. They know what's up. I say, hey, man, how are they? Are they coming together? How's the locker room? They get it. And those guys work their rear ends off, and they don't get rewarded, like a lot of people do. They should financially, but I'm going to pay a lot of attention there. Then I'm going to leave there, and I'm going to go to the training room. And by the way, I call those people coach. Coaches in the equipment room and the training room, they're every bit as much a coach as I am, because what a coach is, you remember where the word comes from. Back in England, people got in something from where they were to get to a desired destination. Okay? That's how the coach does. And if you think somebody in the training room or the equipment room doesn't help that young person, oh, my goodness. It's a thing of beauty. So, yeah, it keeps me around good people. And I love good people.
Well, yeah, that's where it starts with you. You're just a good person and a true gentleman, and we are honored to call you our own here in the state of Alabama, Coach, and all that you did for college football. Congratulations. You're going to be one of the recipients of the Nick Saban Legacy Award. Also, the late Coach Pat died. That's coming up Monday at Red Mountain Theater, 6 o'clock, and we invite anyone who wants to attend. That's going to be an outstanding event that they can go, and we'll tell them how to order tickets, but a well-received honor.
And I'm very humbled to be going in with Coach Dye. I knew Coach Dye when he was coaching defense at Alabama, and what an unbelievable football man. And I'll tell a story Monday night about Coach Dye. I called him not long after I was named the head coach at Ole Miss to ask him some things, and I'm going to share that. Hopefully I get a chance to share that Monday night.
Can't wait to hear it. Coach Cutcliffe, it's been an honor. Thank you for taking time. Congratulations, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Say, 3-man front's better than a 4-man front. Don't ever forget that, okay?
Amen. And we're going to use that. We're going to mark that. Thank you, Coach.
All right, take care.
You as well. Coach David Cutcliffe. We'll tell you more about the Nick Saban Legacy Award. But it is, you can mark your calendar, coming up Monday, August the 18th, Red Mountain Theater, 6 o'clock. You can go to which is Monday morning, Quarterback Club, mmqbc.org. We'll continue three-man front on Jocks.
Man, what a great interview with David Cutcliffe. If you missed that interview, you need to go back and download that. Listen to it in its entirety later on, because it doesn't get any better than David Cutcliffe. I have covered David Cutcliffe since the mid-'90s when he was at Tennessee, obviously head coach at Ole Miss. Missed him when he went to the ACC and coached at Duke. But, man, let me tell you something. He is a first-class individual. He's a great coach, and he's Birmingham's own, and just this
is a genuine guy.
Yeah, the Nick Saban Awards could not have found a more genuine and deserving individual to give that honor to.
Well, and being genuine, and that's what he said, is being honest and being trust. That's what you do in a relationship, and that's how he treated his quarterbacks, and ultimately everybody trusted one another. Just a true gentleman. Appreciate everything that he did for college football, but also just how he carries himself, and I'm sure all the young people's lives that he impacted early on that he was around. And love what he said about the equipment people, and that you can call him coach.
Very much
just
so.
a humble guy.
So we're starting to get some reports out of Auburn's practice this morning. Now, this was a light no pads practice because they will scrimmage tomorrow. Now, Hugh Freeze is supposed to meet with the media coming up in just a couple minutes. But I can tell you some of the reporting that is being done out of Auburn as we speak. I'm going to use Nathan King's notes from Auburn Undercover. He says that the Auburn receiving corps, they were limited significantly on Thursday. Eric Singleton Jr. were a non-participant in practice. He says, we were told that he banged knees with another player during a live period this week. His knee was heavily wrapped, and he was working in the training room. Meanwhile, more injury news in the wide receiver room for Auburn. Cam Coleman wore a non-contact jersey, which we were told is most precautionary. He's been on a pitch count all preseason, so any sort of minor issue for him is going to be quickly addressed. Perry Thompson had a brace on his knee. Auburn Undercover, they were told that he is battling an issue and will be working through that in the coming days. So that is just something to keep your eye on in regards to how much of their availability will be in scrimmage number 2 coming up tomorrow morning. Nathan points out that it was a light no pads practice. They did say in the individual workouts that they were able to view that Hugh Freeze was frustrated with Jackson Arnold not getting the ball out fast enough. If there's one criticism that we've heard so far in the early part of camp about Jackson Arnold, is that right there, about getting the ball out quicker. And that's something that Hugh Freeze has harped on throughout camp, and apparently he was showing his frustration, according to media members that was watching that portion of practice. It says Freeze was continually frustrated with the execution of the passing game, with receivers running into each other and poor timing from the quarterbacks.
Well, we know it wasn't Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, and Perry Thompson that were running into each other.
Or do you think it was that everyone was confused at who was calling, what down it was, and who was calling the plays?
Maybe everyone was looking at Derek Nix, is what you're telling me, when they should have been looking at Ken Austin?
Maybe the sideline guy was not flipping the down marker, and they were all confused at who they needed to look at. Is this first down, second down? Who am I looking at?
That could have been.
Where am I getting the information?
Yeah.
According to Nathan King, Deuce Knight had the best day of all the quarterbacks today at Auburn. So there you go.
All right.
Read what you will into all of that I just told you. It is a non-contact throwing to air
Practice
scrimmage.
with a scrimmage that is coming up.
Correct. So.
And a lot of times in those non-contact, it's going to be an easier day. You will get the
coaches will come
coaches that go on tirades.
Yes.
To get your attention.
So take it for what it is. But it is worth noting that if you've got some guys that are already banged up, especially you do have extremely good depth in the wide receiver room, but those are some pretty high caliber wide receivers right
Pretty
there.
sure you know what you're going to get with those guys. So I don't know how many more reps that they actually need. And you've got a couple of weeks, so hopefully everything's good. I don't read too much into it.
Bubble wrap them.
Bill Clark, tonight you'll listen to the podcast here on Jocks 94.5. He just incredible insight on scrimmages and trying to make sure that guys don't get hurt, because scrimmage number 2 is the most important scrimmage of them all. Got to get out of that not injured. So Alabama and Auburn tomorrow, Alabama on Saturday. Brian Haydad, he will join us next from Super Talk, Mississippi. He'll give us his thoughts on Mississippi State, year number 2 under Jeff Lebby.